Hi, hi. Welcome to the first PageTurner event with the Age of New Era and me, Rafał Zygła, as the author. I'm gonna talk about 20 years pursuit to tell a story that I have experienced and how an idea becomes a novel, its idea, creation, production, publication, the struggle, and the sacrifice that was necessary to uh, get this get anywhere with that basically. um I need to just switch you guys on so I can see the um your chat. Okay, so it's okay, the chat is disappearing every time I'm doing something, so I will be trying to just go there and check out in some moments what you're writing, but let's start. So idea for the novel, The Age of New Era, had come to me and was born on the 8th of August 2004. That was a very particular day in my life. Then some amazing event happened to me and it inspired me. I had a vision about the future of human civilization, and I imagined then a world without economy, without religions, without politicians as we know it today. And it is not like anything else before you could imagine, like communism or some utopianism or anything like that. It's nothing like that. It's absolutely something different. So I had this in mind: no religion, no politicians, no economy, no money. And then I figured out there was a device in the vision, and it it's stuck in my head so much. The device was able to travel very, very fast, much faster than anything from any science fiction movies you could ever imagine. And then I had just followed the string. So this was the end point, the last vision, the final vision of what I wanted to tell about. And then it took me almost 20 freaking years to figure out how we could get there as a civilization from where I'm standing right now, basically. And I made a research, and I'm gonna tell you all about it. It's absolutely fascinating, and I'm very thrilled and excited to talk about it. This year, because it's 2004, this year on the 8th of August will be 20 years anniversary. So I really wanted this year to be special, especially that I already published the book and I'm going out with it. This novel over the time had become my friend, family, my child at the same time, my best friend, and it's just takes so much space in my brain that I'm often coming back to it. I tried to quit. I tried to, to drop it so many times. Few times, Few times I really wanted to drop it because I need to be busy with my life, but it never worked out. Never worked out. It always comes back. It's there, and now it's accepted as just a part of me. Okay, writing it down took me about 6-7 months, and it was one of the best moments in my life, although all the problems I had. However, it took me 6-7 months every day writing a lot, but just the first draft. Just the first draft. And yeah, I'm gonna tell you also about it a little bit more later. Let me check now if you have any questions or anything like that. I hope you can hear me well. Nothing happened here right now. I hope everything is going good, right? Yes. Okay. Let's continue. So, first couple of rules about the stream. So I I have a problem with the monitor and I cannot see your chat, but I will be going there every couple of slides to check if you wrote any questions, and I'm gonna be answering them. And then we will have QA at the end, of course. So there will be like I will be just looking at your questions. I want to engage you. I want to talk with you. I want to find out who you are. I will be doing that. So just ask any questions, write them down, and I will be answering everything whenever I will be there. PageTurner is thank you PageTurner for invitation. PageTurner is an invite-only web platform that connects indie and self-published fiction authors to fiction enthusiasts. Their aim is to build a direct communication channel for indie authors and fiction enthusiasts. Fiction authors can connect with potential readers and have an opportunity to give readers a preview of their book, directly connecting with their fans and answering their questions. I think that's beautiful. Fiction enthusiasts will have an opportunity to discover new talented authors and fiction books. And PageTurner goal is basically connecting fiction authors directly to their fans or potential fans. Yeah, that's about PageTurner. Once again, I'm very excited to be here and share my story. Linktree, the link that you have above the chat is 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 a website with all of the links that are gathered over the years with the Age of New Era. So it's the social links. There is an interview with me from Stockholm Writers Festival that I attended. There are like Facebook, Instagram. There is some. I prepared some T-shirts. If you want to get some T-shirts with some logos inspired by the book, you can help me fund my audiobook. There's like the base over there. If you're gonna be sharing anything about this later on, just use please the hashtags the Age of New Era and hashtag PageTurner Adventure, for example. I was trying to figure this out. But now I want to know a little bit about you. So please tell me where you're from. It would be nice to read about that. How did I keep myself motivating during those 20 years? I will talk about this. There's a dedicated place for that, so no worries about that. India. Zahra is from India. Persia, Iran. My wife is Iranian actually. It's Salon Chitori Hubi. Estonia. I am originally from Poland, but I'm living in Sweden for about 6 years. I also been living in Germany, Greece, Italy, Russia, Great Britain, Germany, in all sorts of Iran. And I was spent like considerably 6 or 7 months in Iran actually. From Latvia. Nice to see you. That's very good that we have people from all over the world. That's very, very, very exciting. Then Melb. I traveled a lot. Yes, yeah, I did used to, but since Melbourne is in United States, I think, right? So it's like 6 o'clock in the morning or something like this. Australia. Oh, okay. So it's like 5 afternoon, 6, 7 maybe. Cool. Right. So we have participants all over the world. Great. Are you a writer or a reader? I also need to know this to be more be able to talk better to you here. New Zealand, super. Readers. Mm, I'm checking. I'm looking at you all guys here. Reader. Okay, so I guess we have mostly readers. And the next question was like, what type of books are you reading or writing? There's. I also can switch off the camera if anybody like rather not be there or something like this. For now, it's on. I'm comfortable with this. This is not a big deal. Okay, what type of books are you reading? Just any? Are you reading books? Are you not reading books? Mostly fiction. Fiction is very good. Okay, let's adventurous books. Big fan of science fiction, to be honest. Yeah, my book is a science fiction and it's very adventurous, but it had to be classified as a science fiction. But well, we'll find out. Okay, let's move on. So I will now present you a short synopsis of my novel. I'm gonna read it, and then it's gonna be fast. So, born in a small and seemingly insignificant city in the middle 80s, our nameless protagonist's childhood is tough and filled with surgeries and a strong desire to find his true self. But everything changes when he has a mystical experience that shows him a device and the future of our civilization. Torn between his inner and outer life, the scatterbrained artist scientist with diplopia struggles to understand if the vision of his invention is a glimpse of a genius or a path to eternal frustration. And here we have the scientist. So, partially, yes, the book is uh, based on the event that happened, but yeah, I do see twice. I have a diplopia since early childhood, since I'm about 10, and it had, I believe, a massive influence on development of this novel, where I'm writing here and there some bits about how it feels, which is maybe quite complicated, but I put it in the words as simple as possible. Okay, let's go to the presentation plan. So, I will talk about the idea generation, about research and world building, about planning and outlining, drafting and revisions, creative blocks and challenges that I have faced, cover and layout design, merchandise, time commitment and persistence. Somebody asked there over there about this already. Some conclusion takeaways, and then we'll have Q&A. Shouldn't take really long. So I said already on the 8th of August 2004, I had this event and this vision came to me, and then I had struggled to figure out how I really want to say this story. I didn't know anything about writing or storytelling at the time. So I decided that I had to figure this out. So I have absolutely dedicated all of my life towards this. I have went to study writing, but as a journalist, because I had very limited education possibilities in my small city, and I couldn't move anywhere. I was too confused as a young 20-year-old guy, basically, about these things and everything, and this double seeing and everything. So I since then I have finished like economics, business development. I researched the world. I researched how to write books, story, how to storytell. I imagined it as a movie at the beginning, but then it came out that it's absolutely impossible to make a movie out of it, and it's such a huge story that I need to, after basically 10 or 15 years, I figured I was leaning to, after 10 years, I was leaning towards writing a book, but then there was a lot to consider, like how to write a book, what kind of book I want to write. Is it a science fiction? Is it a novel? Is it a short story? There were so many options that I was like babbling and babbling for ages in these things, and finally I decided that it should be a novel. The idea scared me. The event that happened to me, that later on I found out that it might have been something that is called the third man factor, which is something that people who are hiking really, really high and they have lack of oxygen, they experience that there is some third person coming to them and telling them to, and keep them motivated, and they imagine it as a person, and I didn't see a person or anything like that, but I think that this thing, this third man factor, explains what happened to me that night the best, basically. But I just found about it a year ago, so it's not mentioned in the novel. Okay, let's check for any. Also, I'm interested to know more about the idea generation. Yes. A little bit delay because I cannot do this, but yeah. And then the idea generation, the idea just came to me. It just came to me, the final vision for what I want to present. The world without economy, religion, and politics. And then the idea was being developed for 15, 20 years. I've been researching and researching and reading and researching and learning how to write, developing the style that I'm gonna write it with. I was writing a lot of short stories, a lot of poems. I was trying to write songs. I was many different things. I was even trying to make movies and write screenplays. And then it came out to me that, yeah, I'm gonna do it like that. Okay, so this is the main. After a long time, I figured out that this is the main thing that is the topic of the book, basically. If you could repair, if you could repair the world, how would you do it? So this sentence contains so much information because repair the world. What is the core of global issues? What is the biggest? What are the biggest problems that have influences of on the everything that is happening on most of the things that are happening in the world that we can influence today? So then after the research I figured out, and for me that was that basically the religion that separates everybody, that a lot of people and connects small groups, but then there is like millions of people here, millions of people here, millions of people here, and they don't bother about each other, and this is like kind of segregation. And then the politics that are obviously the borders, the passports, it's one planet after all, right? So what the heck? And then the economy. So the money is the biggest contributor, I think, in being not well in the most of the world. And then I was thinking about how would you do it so people don't kill each other? There will be no chaos, basically, that is all presented and all known in all of the science fiction movies, on all of the stuff. So I was thinking about it for 20 years almost. And I am presenting the effects of that. I studied, I did so many things. So it's all presented in the novel as as clear as I would do it, but it's still in a metaphor because the device is impossible to make, maybe even. But if we read the book and then we just remove the device, even so, it's still, I think, is doable, and we could start today. But people have to find out about this because nobody can. I don't think anybody can think like that it could be already possible, and that's good. And it's not communism or not tyrannism, but we that all these topics are explored, and I try to make the book as real as possible. So I wanted to ground people in the world, today's world, basically. That's why it's divided into three parts. The first part is the origin, which is starting in the 80s, 90s, a little bit at the beginning of 2000s, and it's just life story. The guy is there that has this problem with this eyes and is exploring life, and there are like parties, and there is school, and there is the friends or something like this. And then we jump to the second part, which is the scrutiny. And the scrutiny is the here is the book, basically, yeah, also. And the scrutiny is the part of the book in which he's confused, and he's going through mental research on what's wrong with the world, and who are the people, so he can explain this the best as possible. And then there is a lot of facts in this part as well. And then there is the third part, the tempus, which is the tempus is the device that he invents, and then he just uses it and tries to share it with the rest of the world. So tempus is loosely saying the electromagnetic power unit shuttle. And there's a lot of abbreviations, a lot of other gadgets and inventions that he's doing. And it just basically, because the book is kind of memoir written in first person, you are basically surviving it with the character, basically. And I made myself sure to not use many names of geographical places or any names whatsoever. So it's as much universal as it can be. Later on, I found out that it is also a translingual book, which means that it is written by an author in not his native language. So if your language is not English is not native, it's gonna be for sure easier for you to read it than other English books, depending on your English skill. But of course, I had been hired. I have hired a proofreader who checked the English and everything, so there was not many mistakes, and he was very happy to work with me. Okay, let's check the yeah. Okay. Whew. Uh, okay, so research and world building. and the research is core of my existence, that's for sure. Both, well, it's on every topics ever. I don't know. It kind of merged with me during researching for the book. It merged with me that it's my like basic hobby. Every day I'm making a lot of research. So here the core of the existence, and but the story and novel writing, there are two completely different things. Story research took me at least a decade, and then I was adding stuff. So then I was researching about politics, about religions, but also about people, about health, about how to maintain health, about the some problems like climate change, and like, for example, that people don't like meat industry for some reason, and why we have electricity like we have. And there is a lot of conspiracy theories that you have to go through to just basically swim out. And then there was a lot of research that took me at least a decade, and it's still ongoing thing. And I'm thinking actually right now on making another revision of the book, but there will be some small cosmetic improvements probably, but it's not going to change the overall view of for the plan for changing the world, repairing the world. It will not change it much. Novel writing research is ongoing and forever learning experience. Just as I said right now, I will be probably reviewing it even right now a little bit just to adjust some stuff, especially if it comes to space travel or other things. Yeah, okay. And now going to planning and outlining. And I think this is very important these days. I let my story grow naturally, hence it took from 2004 to 2017. And I have when I started writing the novel, I started making a journal. I will tell you later about it. But planning is super important. There are two types of writers, apparently, architects and gardeners. But I think I'm a bit of both. So how it is that I planned the novel in very specific way, because every beats were coming to me for the story from, yeah, till 2017 basically. I remember very well in December 2017 when the final resolution of the novel came to me, how to present that. And every now and then they came to me. I have even created a list of main things that I'm describing in the novel, and then I even wrote the date next to it. So some things appeared in 2004, some in 2006, 7, 8, 12, 16, and what when came to my mind. I have the list of these things even on my computer. I wanted to add it to the novel after the index at the end of the book, but they said that it's not necessary. They advised me not to do it. And today I'm thinking like, yeah, why not? Maybe I should actually add it back, and I probably will do it. So as I said, I also planned my education journey according to the subject of the novel as much as possible. I could do. I just studied this, but planning is 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 very very important. And I think in 2018, when I started writing, I wrote down first draft of the plan at the end of 2017, and in, I think, March 2018 I refined it. Uh, how it looked like, it was basically like, imagine you need a subject for a short essay, and I made 150 of these subjects basically, and then I put them in the list with numbers 1 to 153, I think it was. And then I was just trying to put it all together in the most logical way to just start writing. Later on I could start writing with the first, the second, the third, and continue. But of course it was revised many times over the pretty intense revision period of time. And I think that in the end it all I didn't want to have any chapters. I didn't wanted to have any chapters. I just wanted to have parts, part 1, 2, and 3. But then in the end, it's very easy to get lost in the book if there are no any chapters or stops. So then I figured out I should do chapters, and then at the end it became 49 uh, chapters basically. But it's super important to plan it well before you start writing, and I believe so that it helped me a lot. Okay, so then we go to drafting and revisions of a novel, science fiction. I hope you're interested about this because I'm telling about the subject, but I'm also telling about how I'm doing it. I don't want to spoil you the novel because it's very virginy. It's very like not known what it is about, and I really try to keep it, which makes it super difficult to market because people today they expect you to give them everything at the like a hook on the second page and stuff like that. I am just like I wanted it to be like a legend, like somebody sitting down and starting telling the story. I will read you couple of I think 4 or 5 fragments or 6 fragments of the novel later on. If you want, we can do 1, 6 depending on your time after the QA. I would be really happy, or before the QA, or then we're gonna make it on the way. I have revised the novel about 12 times in total, which was a super cool experience also because when you're building it and then you find out, oh, this doesn't really work. I want this sentence to be actually 6 sentences, or this 6 sentences I want to be one, and it's super fun. And I never knew when is the end. Basically, it was extremely fun in the process. So on the way, when you're writing a book, you use help from some beta readers. So you hire a guy, and there is, or a girl, of course, and or anyone who does that. But I was a little bit cheeky about it, to be honest, because like, okay, I cannot just give it to like my brother, sister, or someone to tell me. I need someone who knows stuff. So on Fiverr I found a guy who studied literature in one of the best universities somewhere over there, like 35th place I found it. Even it was on the worldwide list, Duke, some Edinburgh or something like that. And I sent him the novel, and then he sent me back the report. That was my first experience with the beta readers, and there was a lot of comments, and that the English is quite fine, but of course it's not literature, so I needed to work and work and work and work and work, and I knew where what works, what doesn't work, what's missing maybe. That inspired a couple of um, uh, additional edits, and I did it a few times during the revision process, and then I got to editorial report, and that was a journal. Editorial report is something that you are basically consulting your novel with a professional editor. And I found a guy who was an editor in Penguin Books, and he was over 20 years over in the business, and his name was Michael Rowley, and he is Michael Rowley, and he's living in Manchester, I think, and he edited The Martian, the novel from Andy Weir, very famous novel that was made a movie into with Matt Damon. And this is the journey, because the I hired him to do this editorial report, and it was supposed to take 2 weeks, but it didn't take 2 weeks. Uh, Not mentioning that I had to wait for him like 3 or 4 months, so he has time to take care of my book, and my book was ready for him also. So I think it took about 4 or 5 months actually. So 2 weeks in, and he's supposed to send me my report, and then there is no word from him, and I don't know what's happening, and I paid already, and it's it's not like money grow on trees, and it's not cheap also. And then I don't know what's happening, and then he's like, on the next day he's like, oh, sorry, I need a little bit more time, I will send it to you today in the evening. So then I'm happy, but today in the evening he's not sending it to me. And then next day, and the next day, and the next day, and he's saying, I will send you it very fast. And I don't know what was happening. It was COVID at the time. So I was like, okay, it's fine. I'm not like, take as much time as you need. But if you would tell me that it takes 3 months instead of 2 weeks, it would be much easier for me. So it was a roller coaster emotional. But he gave me his report, which was supposed to be 15 pages, but he gave me 15 pages and additional 30 pages to this 15 pages of report, which when I read in the end, I cried and I think I will quit. That was crushing. That was absolutely crushing me down, and I didn't know how to move on, what to do. It took me but I couldn't let go. As I said, it's my friend. The book is my friend, my baby, my child, and everything. So I couldn't let go. So then I figured out a way how to tackle that challenge that was massive, because he had so valid comments. His observations were so spot on, and so and he shared them in such a professional way that, it was not like, I don't like this. It was not like that. It was like, this may seem a little bit pretentious, or because this and that. This here is good, but the form is a little bit, which would mean something like that. So then for 2, 3, 4 months, I was analyzing the whole thing basically. And then I figured out how to implement it and what parts of it I want to implement of the book, or what parts it confirmed me also which parts are actually working. Also, it was a massive roller coaster. I think this had a massive influence on development of the story, and it included removal of around 70 pages of the whole story, which yeah, I may one day make into another novel, because it's another subject a little bit, but it was like almost consecutive 70 pages, which only made my novel better, and even I believe so, and even today. Okay, creative blocks and challenges. Let me check if there were some questions arised. Okay, there are some people. Is there any interested info that you come across when researching about politics and its connection to the nature and your story? Brita is asking. I don't know how to tell you this, but I was researching so much, and then in the end, I figured out that politics is such a mess that it would be very, very difficult, if basically impossible, to try to repair it, basically. But I mentioned in the novel a way that I think could work, and it is somewhere there in the background, and how it evolves later on, definitely it is there. I hope that answers your question. Because I still am balancing between not telling you too much and then telling you too much and spoil you the story, basically. But there is a massive idea about how that could develop from where it stands. However, when you connect it with how the economy was dealt with and how religions were dealt with, it all goes together. There is no one way. It's just together or nothing, basically, I think. What's the main difference between story versus novel writing when writing, especially science fiction? I don't think there is anything different. It's just that when you are writing anything, you have to figure this out. So when I said like that the authors are architects and gardeners, and I'm a bit of both. So it looked like this. I did this 150 topics, but then I had a lot of gardening in each one of them. So I was architect for the plan, but for the writing of them, I was definitely a gardener. And what's the difference between story? I think maybe you're asking about the difference between fiction books and non-fiction books. And if that's your question, then different is this, that in non-fiction books you always you always say about something that actually exists and or happened, and fiction books are more imaginative and creative in a way of the subject, because of course, non-fiction book you also can write, and it can be very creative process to write it, and it can present your literature skills and everything. It's the same. It's just basically distinguish between facts and what happened, and the creation of imagination, basically. uh Emilian, I love the illustration. Is it from your book? No, it's not from my book, but the illustrations I used for this are inspired by the world of the Age of New Era. I don't have dedicated illustrations to the novel as of yet. I'm planning actually to try to figure out how to get them, but I am not really a super, because of my double seeing. Also, I'm not really a super artist to make illustrations really great. But I am looking forward to see some of the uh, illustrations that anybody could make for them. I'm very open to that. I'm thinking about a contest maybe I should make, and just like $100, 4 months, get a book and make illustration, and then we're gonna make another edition or something. But I wanted it to be movie in the end, so it's very illustrative, I think. But I left it very open for interpretation of how it actually could look like. That's also very important. So I didn't want to suggest anything by the illustrations and or the pictures I'm using for the presentation. They are a little bit very metaphoric, and they are inspired by the world, but they have nothing to do with it. So there are no cyborgs like here. It's just an image, basically. But I made some T-shirts with very cool designs that are inspired. Yeah, yeah, John. Yeah, you can check it out on Amazon or any other shops. I have published it in Ingram Spark and Amazon. So Amazon is, everybody knows, and Ingram Spark is like Amazon for the bookshops. So you can get it in Adlibris or Kobo or very many bookstores. What about religion? Is there anything you find out in your research? Yeah, religion is good. Yeah, I mean, I was more focusing on describing it from, like, because I was born as a Christian, so my religion is Christianity, Roman Catholics or something like this, and I was focusing on like presenting some of that, how it looks like, how it looked like back in the 80s, 90s, when you had to learn in schools these things, and how you can process this, basically. But an interesting thing is that I was focusing more on faith, and kind of explaining through faith faith how this third man factor event maybe was religious or something like that, and then the guy is confused for a long time. He's talking about these things. I'm not talking there about Buddhism or Islam or anything like that, because it's very, 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 very extremely sensitive topics, especially in some religions. So I made everything about Christianity, because they are fine about talking about anything about that, basically. uh, and I was trying to be very, very focusing on that it's generally good to believe in God, but it's also very good to be a good person, and that's the most important, basically. I guess. Rafal, what's the story behind the eye on your book cover? The black one. Well, yeah, this is. I'm gonna talk about this in the cover design in a moment. But yes, it's there is a thing, but I don't know if it's not gonna be a spoiler. Okay, let's go to the presentation. So, creative blocks and challenges. Editing process was very, very long, but you need persistence and consistency. So 1 page a day is better than zero, but if you need rest, zero is fine, and take a break. Absolutely. Uh, I had some pretty bad days that time also, and the book was even my escape from reality. So it made me feel good to write or edit it. But I remember there was one very bad day, and I was just like reading it, and I was so confused, and I just made a 1/2 page, and I felt guilty about it forever, and it's even with me right now. but this is persistence. It's even this one page. When you have to do it, you have to do it because that moves forward, even half a page, paragraph, whatever. Handling the editorial report was, I just said about it. Um, Managing creative blocks and staying motivated. So I had this trick I was doing. So sit down and write, and it doesn't matter. Just blabber the blabber out of yourself, basically, because I think it's here. Yeah, mumble bumble on the paper, whatever. Just write. It doesn't have to have any sense. It doesn't have to be even sentences. But when you keep going, the words start appearing, and then sentences start appearing, and then you get to the point you can delete all of this shit, and then you can just write, continue writing, basically, and that keeps you motivating. That you just need to, and I mean, staying motivating is very difficult, especially if you are, I don't know, you might have a depression like I had, a huge depression, and it is very difficult. But just, just sit down and start just pressing A, basically, and then you see the A doesn't make sense, so you will start writing about something, and just, you don't care about what's coming over there. It doesn't matter quality, quantity, not, it's not important at the moment. You can always delete it later, and then you will just wake up. I sometimes even talk with myself. Even I'm just writing, and it's like, why you can't write? Why you can't write? Why you can't write? And then it just go away, and it takes 5 minutes maybe. Sometimes I really recommend to try if you're a writer, but if you're a reader, I hope it makes you interested more about this. Let's move to time commitment and persistence. Uh, so time commitment required to write a novel over the span of 20 years. So, well, of course, it's not like you're sitting and writing and thinking about it every freaking day, but in every moment of your life, you just like, you're there. But then, how, as you remember it later, it's like, yeah, you basically every day you did something about it, like even a little thought about this, or you just thought, what should I do about that part? And then there was like a lot of, because I was making the research, that was, of course, a time commitment for the novel. So it was not directly thinking about the novel, but it was more about figuring it out, what is necessary or what can be useful even for writing the novel from what I'm reading about. And I have like tons of links over there, like hundreds of them. And I even wrote a master degree about this, some regional economical improvements and stuff like that, because I studied managerial economics also on the way, and project management and other stuff. But I think that at some points I was like, okay, so he's building this technology, how it could look like literally, because you need to describe sometimes how stuff look like, yeah. So then I remember I was learning a 3D design software, and I was building actually there some like draft of how it could look like, basically. And then I was very neat about every centimeter, and and then I had basic design, and then I was like, okay, I don't like it, it's not really, the form is not really super visually nice, so I can just like edit it more. So I think, for example, this part of the book I was designing for like 3 years, basically. And then there are other bits and pieces of that I have dedicated like few years to just completely lock it down. But just please remember that it was a process that I wanted it, everything to come to me as natural as there is. So I was not pushing myself, okay, I have to figure it out right now. No, because I think it would crash the story. It would make it rushed or something, and then when you change something in here, maybe you have to change something over there. So it's very, very delicate and sensitive, but it was absolutely amazing. Oh, balancing writing with other responsibilities. So, for example, when I was writing the novel for a few months, I had to live with another family, basically, and they had small kids, and the small kids are making a lot of noise. So it was very loud, but of course I put like some headphones on, and then I just managed to swim out and just write it down. So there's always a way. Using some music without words was for me, I think, very helpful. Some chill music, yeah. Yes, setting achievable goals to complete a novel. Yes, that's definitely super helpful when you have it. So in my situation, it was I have to write a novel, but I have 150 points that I have to write about, and then I will connect them, and that's how it happens. So it was very achievable to just sit down, write one of them at least, and then after you finish, you read what is the second one, and then you take a day, and then you think about what you're gonna write, and then the next day you come there and you're just writing it down, and that's how I did it basically. Okay, this is something from me. It's a novel, The Age of New Era. This is a novel based on an event with extra steps. What it means? It means that it's a story based on an event which was written into a poem in my native language called The Story About Continuation, Historical Continuacji. It was quite a long poem about like the event basically. I think maybe 4 or 5 pages, and it's untranslatable unfortunately, but I wrote the poem. I think it was in 2006, so it's 2 years after. Then I started writing. It evolved into a short story booklet called The Unspoken Truth. Oh, I have a typo there. Okay. Unspoken Truth. And that was a booklet with different short stories inside, basically. And they were there was like a list of ideas and some short stories and some short stories about some ideas for the novel. Also, like more than half of it is there, basically. And then this evolved into a workshop named New Age Era, which with time grew into a story, grew into a novel, which I chose to be The Age of New Era, that I have uh, published. Checking for the questions. So where are they? Here. Okay. The eye of the cover is, I think, next. Is there a specific playlist you recommend for writing? Um, ambient, ambient music. Oh, I can write ambient music. I will post. Yeah, I will post later here the link to. I mean, the name of the YouTube one that I used a lot during during this like 1 hour and 7 minutes, I think it is. I will put, maybe I will. Yeah, I will try to find it later and post it here. Okay, let's go. Two more things. The journal. When I started writing the novel in October 2018, I started writing a journal of writing it, basically. So then I started it when I had about 10,000 words written. The whole book is about 120,000 words, and the first draft was about 180,000 words, I think. And then I have each day of work is written over there, how many words I wrote. So it's like generally 2-3,000 words a day was a good day for me to write. I know Stephen King is writing like half of a novel a day, but I'm not Stephen King. I'm Rafał Zygua, and then I was writing there like this, that when you write novel, I and the most important thing I think that I was kept motivated and being on track and staying on track was that I have written. I was following the rule of writing first draft. Don't look behind. Don't edit what you wrote already, what you have written. Just go to the end of the novel, and then the process of editing will start. So I think this was very, very, very helpful for me to just have this in mind and just continue to the end from when I started. and then editing afterwards. But I had ideas on the way, and I had a lot of ideas on the way, what to improve or something like this. So I put them all into the journal. And I was putting these thoughts into the journal. I have them noted, and then I could get back to them, and after processing if the idea was actually valuable to do, I could edit it, and that's how I worked. And the journal I use Excel basically for it. So there's like a column with the date, and then the topic. There's some short information what is the thing, and then and I use one cell to write a whole story even. So sometimes it's just like so huge that it doesn't make sense for Excel, but I found that it's most easy to just find the information you need there, and that's why I used it. And the list of abbreviations, I told you about it already before. So this is when I have the list of abbreviations that I used in the novel, because them sometimes are very difficult ones. Like Tempus is the electromagnetic power unit shuttle. You may not remember that straightforward, but Tempus means also time in Latin, which is not so important. Okay, let's go. Further conclusions and takeaways. So this was the story of the creation of the novel. Uh, uh, the story of the creation and the story of the publication is something different. So I, uh, I, I think I have focused on how to write and writing 100%. And the real authors, they focus also on publication during writing, and they talk with people, they make the website, they make the buzz up around the subject. They ask, sometimes they even ask the potential readers what they should do with this or that. I was not thinking about it. I was so focused on telling the story that I didn't, when when I finished writing it, I just published it myself, and then it happened that you need to market the book, and that was too much for me at the time. So I published in 2021 on the 1st of June, something like this, May 29, May 30, and since then I'm kind of struggling with marketing it. But then I was struggling with depression, and then I locked these chapters of my life, and now since about, I think, June last year, I am like learning about the marketing, and I'm just like started my Instagram. I'm figuring it out how it works, and all of this stuff. It's pretty tough, to be honest. But yeah, writing is difficult, but publishing on your own is even more difficult. And why it happened that I publish on my own? So I just said this, Mike. Yeah, I focus 100% on creating. But you know, when I was writing it, and to be honest, I made all of the mistakes probably there can be about this, because when I finished writing the first draft, I basically edited it once, fast revision, and then the second revision, like they say, after 3 months, and then I started sending it out to agencies and publishers. And to be honest, 100% it was not ready material. There was a lot of mistakes, grammars, and or other stuff. So people just even looking at the script and reading 3 sentences, they were probably rejecting it. So then I was because I was depressed. I didn't understand the thing, and I just like was okay. I need to edit it one more time. I'm gonna edit it. I'm editing it, and then I'm learning on my mistakes, and it's like, oh, super great and everything. No proofreader, no editorial assessment, nothing like that. Yeah, and then I'm sending it again, and then I'm sending it again, and then I'm correcting and sending it again, full of power that somebody will take my book because so awesome, right? But it was not written professionally, and I fully understand why they didn't take it. But I got angry, so I just traditional. I was like, when it was ready, instead of sending it again like I used to, I just decided to publish it myself, and that was terrible. So I'm struggling with that, but it's okay. I am learning on my mistakes, and it makes it a really, really strong position, and that's how it is. But it's wow, the whole journey is amazing. Yeah. connect with me on the social media. Links are in the link tree that I shared. Please just go ahead and get involved and fund an audiobook if you want to get yourself a t-shirt. There are there for another 2 weeks, I think. They're globally distributed or something. I think they're nice. And I guess now it's the time for Q&A. But remember that I have a couple of quotes that I can read. And this is me with my novel in the bookstore, because recently I even talked with the bookstore in Stockholm, and they have gladly they gladly take my novel to the shop. So it was my first copy that is actually a copy printed out in the bookstore, so you can see it on my face that I'm happy about it. And yeah, so I'm going to check the if you have any more questions. Regina, where are you from? I'm from Poland. Originally from Poland, but I live in Stockholm now. Did you write every day like an X minute per day? No, I didn't had a time uh, dedicated for writing, but I had every day like some time to write. So then, but I think it was usually around 12, 1, 2 o'clock, sometimes 6, 7. You know, it's absolutely different depending what I had in my real life to do, basically. So I didn't had like I have to write for 60 minutes. I have to write this, what I have in my mind right now, what I was thinking about yesterday in the night. I have to write this part. Uh, the story behind the eye on your we forgot about the whole part of the process. Let me tell about this. I think it's gone from the I skipped it on the maybe presentation. So okay, so when you have the ready script, you take, and then you took the editorial assessment, you take the proofreader and everything, the text is super ready. Then you hire 2 people. I mean, you can hire the book cover designer before, whatever you want. And I hired, but this is not the cover that he designed to me. And then you need to go to a designer who's designing the book inside. So it looks nice, and it's all like a professional with very nice title and the fonts and you know there's like it's a typesetting, it's called. So I sent this book to this guy on Fiverr, whose name is Rodchenko. Maybe you can find him. And he just got my novel, and then he's like, "Hey, send me your cover, so we will just like I will match it with the spine over here, so you know it's proper size and everything." And I sent him the cover, and then he's like, "Oh, that's a nice cover, but how about this?" And he sent me this cover basically, which kind of at the beginning upset me, because I was my initial thought was, "Damn, that's a good one, but I paid so much for the other one." And then he's like, "It's for free, it's for you," and I'm like, at the beginning I told him no, I don't want this, but then after a while, after a week, because we were cooperated like for a month, I said like, okay, no, I have to have this one because it's better. The story of the eye behind is that the character is basically, he has a diplopia, so he sees twice, but it's also kind of, if you will look closer to the logo, is it's kind of like solar system, right? Okay, that's the most I can say. It's the most that I can say. Okay, next question. Do you have any book signing event in you? No, I don't have an agent. I don't know how to do these things yet, to be honest. I have no idea, to be honest. How was the publishing of the book on my own? Terrible. There was a lot of challenges, because then you think like, I have 1,000 friends on Facebook, somebody will pick up the book, somebody will read, they will write a review. Nothing like that happened. People don't read the books just because they know you, apparently. And everybody, and then I read in the internet a lot of authors saying that nobody's reading. You have to find an audience, and it's difficult to find an audience if you don't know what you've written. And then I spent years figuring out what what have I written? And then I went from the memoirs. I went through memoirs, through Bildungsromans, to finally settling down with science fiction, which is the easiest to explain. There were a lot of challenges, and there are still challenges. And now I am on the like, I'm gonna create some reels on Instagram about some topics. And I'm learning how to do that. Maya, perfect. Enjoyed your story, Rafał. Thank you so much for saying that. Regina, you talked about the influence of politics and religious. Is nature had any influence on you to write the novel? Um, I'm not sure if I understand what you mean here. If you is nature, I think they didn't directly influenced how I wrote the novel about, because I had this primal vision in my mind how it looked like. I just had to figure out how we could all go there, basically. And I think this topic is well, basically, we need to respect our religions and all of this stuff, regardless. But I mean, from a point of view, it had massive influence how I wrote the book, because this is exactly what I'm writing about. That what's wrong over here? Yeah, that's that something is wrong with our faith system. But well, not faith, but with religions, there is definitely a lot of things happening that are not correct, really, and politics as well. So I guess that's how it is. I hope that answers your questions. If not, just please rephrase, and maybe if I understood it wrong, I could rephrase my answer. Um, okay, I think this is pretty much maybe a little longer than you anticipated, but I have some quotes that I wanted to share with you. If you don't mind, I can just jump to them. So this is a nice screen with the thank you. That was nice to be here. But okay, I have like one excerpt from each. I hope that's okay. Yep. Okay, so here's it is. So the book begins with some, like, the setting. So setting is like lands where pagans loved to live freely, where the long lustful nights, full of barbaric drinks and rituals around the bonfire, gave birth to the legends of Baba Yaga. It's the first. Oh, you can't see my laser pointer. It's the first. It's in the first paragraph, but it's not the beginning of the first paragraph. So then I made some kind of visualization like that for this, which is absolutely not science fiction and everything, but it's just like, it starts like a legend, so it's a legend. And then in the part two, the scrutiny, there's a chapter named Questioning Knowledge, and it goes like this. A core structure powered it, and the apparatus moved and gained speed by switching off a segment rather than making use of a throttle or acceleration on the back. The device's possibilities were magnificent. Thinking only about how many changes it could bring was purely arousing. The astonishing visions of visiting distant parts of the planet at the same evening changed into visiting Mars, Jupiter, and coming back to Earth on the same day. The vehicle was fascinating. The core was detachable and easy to attach anywhere you wanted. These visions only made me want to focus more. I started putting all the pieces of the puzzle together while my mind kept playing its own game. And then he's like, wow, this double vision, this politics, this is like, and everything is like rumble a lot. And then we go to a little bit of the third part. There's chapter 28, which is the first chapter of part 3, the Tempus, the reverse day. I called it the reverse day. I didn't think it would ever come. It was well after 2014 and everything was still the same. I thought it would change after all the input I gave away to the spheres, that people would hear me, that the tempus would become real on its own, that it would create itself, find its way into our everyday reality. But no, the decade of scrutiny had ended and nothing changed. This mythical reverse day, the day when my vision was to meet with the present time, the day when all would crumble from this advanced future and get back to its beginning, the day when the future and the past would connect, the day when the tempus would really get started. And yeah, and then I have two more actually. It's part one, the origin. It's from chapter 15, the spirit drive. There was some particular dreams the character had. A beam of energy straight from the center of the universe struck me. It was every color of the rainbow, but gold and without the colors at the same time. It took me out of my body. It bent the space and time continuum, sucking me away further than the known galaxies. I was there, in the middle of the universe, in front of these very well-known lit gates. Their fences were endless, the gates enormous. Behind them I saw, of eternal size, the most familiar divine face, but not a face at all. I can remember the contour of the fully lit eyes. The whole was of a rainbow color, but gold and without the colors at the same time. It filled me up with joy and peace. Weightless, I hovered softly in front of the only core of life and existence itself. All the limbs and the body of my spirit had no meaning at all. So this is a bit of a... And this is not the whole dream, this is just a little bit of it. Just, I think, one paragraph. Because I don't want to spoil things. I just want to get you interested. Maybe you like it. If you like it, please get it. If you get it, if you don't have money or something, send me an email. I can send you the PDF. If you want, just write a nice review or something like this. You can read on Goodreads. There is the link to Goodreads in my reviews. And I have the final quote, 2 paragraphs from very important for me, chapter 15, the seal, from part 1, the origin. I have actually marked 2 very important, I think my personally important chapters with usually they start like this, the chapters, but they have the little emblem in the books, in the copies, like the seal here has that kind of a symbol over there, which is of course a part of the design. Okay, more visions were coming. I had seen solutions to all the world's pain. A part of it relied on building a certain device. Only time would tell if I was really able to construct. I asked for these 10 years to figure this out, to understand if people were ready and deserved such a gift. I needed to check what people wanted. I knew the decision of usage belongs to them, that in the end it all would be in their hands. My spirit and desire to repair the world was born. My mind's imagination was senseless and at the time unfair. I, the boy who saw double, the small person, the nobody, I had to take on the greatest burden known to the human race. When the morning arrived, I heard my mother leaving for work, so I returned home. This was merely the beginning of the pursuit to find a way to achieve what the vision showed. And that's it. So, yeah, I guess that's it. If you have no more questions, well, hopefully talk to me on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and just you can send an email or something. I will be happy to talk with you anytime. Cool images. Thank you, Rafał. Thanks. Very nice story. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks. Thanks for your presentation and the discussion. Thank you so much. It was lovely. And yeah, enjoyed. Thank you, Rafał. So, yeah. But actually, nobody's leaving. Good story. Thank you for the discussion. Need to drop. No problem. Okay, so I'm just gonna go also. Bye.